Alright, folks. So, before we begin, and before I get into this video here, there's two things I want to let you folks know. Mainly, first is that I am sorry for not uploading for the past few days or so. I know it's been only like 2 days or whatever. But I just want to make a little apology because I couldn't quite figure out what to exactly make, and I couldn't brainstorm enough, I guess, to what content I wanted to make and everything, and so that's the reason why I haven't been uploading as of lately. And another thing is, real quick, folks, is that I am gonna get my wisdom teeth finally taken out as of, let's see, Tuesdays. I had to think for a moment though on the day, but yeah, as of this coming Tuesday, I'm gonna have my wisdom teeth pulled out, which is a double-edged sword in my opinion. I feel like it's overall good and great and everything that's finally going to be done, but I'm also terrified at the same time because of the recovery and the soreness and also the overall operation. I do not look forward to it one bit, just like I don't look forward to making this video, but as both are going to imply, it is needed, and this video is going to need to be said, especially with what's coming up with next month. And I've honestly tried to get into the spookiness of October, right? Of Halloween. And I personally am just not feeling it. I'm just not really having it. And it came to me that it's probably overrun with something that's actually real terrifying to me. And yeah, like I said before, I've done the horror AUs, I've done a bunch of horror games, I've done this and that on all sorts of horror. But those are fake horror. Those are the play horror, as I call it. With this one here, with what we're going to get into here, folks, and the main reason of this video here is real horror. And it's something that I really want you folks to really take in. And whether or not you agree with me doesn't really matter. What matters to me is that this message gets across and that this message gets spread out, because now more than ever, it's really damn important. It's urgent that a video like this gets put out so that people can wake up here, folks. So, politics, as in the title of this video here. I'm not gonna lie, folks. I have been preparing myself to make this video for months now in advance, and I've really been thinking hard on my views and everything of the whole thing as a whole. Not on a conservative or liberal, not on Trump or Kamala, but just whole thing as a whole. It's a goddamn joke. It is. Now, let me explain to you folks why politics has just become a joke to me, and why it's just become a laughing stock that feels important and needed, but upon looking deeper, it's really just a spaghetti hellish mess of society. So, whether or not you personally vote for Trump or Kamala doesn't really matter to me. It does not matter what side you choose on, and it really doesn't. I'm not saying this as a people pleaser. I'm not saying this as maybe I'm in the middle on the fence or whatever. I'm saying this as a humanity sense, as a human being, because I truly do not give a shit. And the reason why is that it just does not matter to me. I'm not going to vote for Trump or Kamala. I and I do not support on either side. The reason why is that politics has become such a mess, folks. We've gone to the point to where everything is divided, and I mean everything outside of politics, not just politics outside of it. It's freaking everywhere. I can't escape it, folks. There's freaking divisiveness and gaming, there's divide in music, there's divide in the brony fandom, divide in the furry, fandom, divide in the caretaker fan projects fandom or whatever, the caretaker fans or whatever. There's freaking divided in meat lovers or vegans. There's divided in Christianity or atheism, if you believe in religion or not. There's freaking divided in LGBT, non LGBT, trans or non trans. There's divided in freaking. There's divided in everything. Everything has gone so divided to the point to, well, it's become an us against them mentality. And it pains me more than anything, folks, because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying this as a cliche, I'm not saying this as some cringe or whatever, it's really damn true. We all share the same blood, or humanoid blood, or, whatever. It does not matter. Black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Mexican, Canadian, British, Russian, African, New Zealand. It truly doesn't matter because we all share the same color blood, folks. We all bleed the same. Each and every one of us. We may have different cultures, we may have different ideologies, we may have different belief systems, we may have different religions, different, identities, different this, different that. But at the end of the day, we're all the same person, folks. Not the same person. We all have similar bodies. We're the same but not the same is what I'm trying to say. We're all humans or humanoids or whatever, right? And I personally feel like the politicians or the government, at least in my state, in the United States, this may be a complete utter noodle, a complete one-off thing or whatever, and I'm just ripping on my ass. But I firmly believe that the system is is gambling on us, folks. That this whole fiasco of Trump or Kamala, this whole fiasco of black and white, how we must take a stand against them or whatever and whatnot. I feel like this is all a sick joke game to our government. And the way I see it is that this may come across as complete batshit crazy to you folks. And I don't know if I believe it myself. And at the end of the day, this is just a conspiracy theory. Nothing more, nothing less. A theory doesn't have to have proof, but a theory doesn't have to be fully, accepted or whatever. So I firmly believe and feel like that the government is playing tricks on us because there's an inner government within the government. And the whole fiasco as to why there's this whole divisive thing going on, the divide and everything, is so that we can be more independent of the system. And, it really makes me think, honestly, because as I keep looking back on my life and as I keep looking on the systems in place for us, not just for me individually as a special needs person with DSPD, SSI, and state services and stuff, but also with the folks who are on other systems as well. I feel like that there is a setup going on to, well, they're purposefully dividing us so that we can be even more divided, so that they can gain our trust even more so to make us even more vulnerable. Think on it, folks. In the eastern side of the world, in Japan, Asia, China, whatever, right? Think of the ideologies of religion or spirituality for a moment. Buddhism as a prime example here that I'm going to say. With Buddhism, there's chakras, right? You got the seven chakras all the way up and down and everything. The main difference that I find from the Eastern world of spirituality compared to the Western world is that in the Eastern world, it's more on one with nature and nature's one with me kind of thing. There's meditation, there's breathing techniques. There's inner work, inner self work, and everything compared to the Western side of the world where I am, where it's more based on an immortal being, an immortal ideology of a person or being that's like us in a sense. Jesus and everything. I grew up around religion and I overall am very deeply spiritual, and I really look at the the facts and everything, and I come to my own conclusion, free spirited, as to what makes sense most to me. And you may be saying, well, what does this have to do with politics? I feel that it has to do with politics because it's very similar to how I feel. Think on religion for a moment here, folks. Let me tell you, folks, on something of what it's like here in Utah, in the state that I'm in, right, folks? Utah is known for being a heavily Mormon state, right? And that is true. There's as much churches and temples as there are McDonald's here, right, folks? It's inescapable. There's legit like 5, 6 churches or whatever within the neighborhood that I'm currently in. Right? I'm not gonna tell you directly the neighborhood. I'm not gonna, pinpoint my location as an IP address or some shit. But there's a lot of churches where I am, and I've dealt with a lot of Mormons. A lot of the stuff that I find, and I know this makes sense in the house and everything, right? But it still follows the same with how I feel with politics. Because what they do, folks, is that they treat you like sheep. And in a way, you behave like sheep. Think of it this way here, folks. Let's say there's a leader, right? The biggest sheep, right? In the whole herd of sheeps or whatever, right, folks? And it's said that you cannot go past the fence. The fence is the barrier of the outside world. Within it, there's, quote, safety and everything. You know, this is similar in a sense towards how I feel when it comes to stuff like churches or even an ideology of humans, right? This is why Mormons or Christians or whoever that don't normally look outside other religions or cultures won't, because they tame that as, quote, bad, and so therefore they follow whatever coding the code is allegedly supposed to be, like a robot in a sense. You know, you don't step outside the religion and you obey the commandments or orders and everything. The main reason why I say this and with politics is that they pretty much treat us the exact same way, folks. Think of it this way. Because, think of it this way here. Because they have a huge us against them mentality, right? Both sides do this. It's us against them. You and me. We're not the same. And like I said, they're purposefully dividing us because what they don't want you to do is that they don't want you to think. It's baffling to me, folks. You know why people are so judgy? Why everyone gets so pissed off? Why everyone lets their emotions take control rather than their actual thought process, their thought patterns and everything? You know why instead of thinking, using your brain, why instead of doing that, we're just letting our emotions take control and our feelings take control and everything? Is that using our brains has become too difficult, folks. Thinking has become too difficult. So we judge because it's easier. It's easier to point the finger at someone, point the finger at something else, blame that for the problem, instead of working on yourself as a human or humanoid and using your actual brain to help out. That's what they've been pushing us towards. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to use your brains, folks. They don't want you to outsmart. They don't want you to question things. You know why? Because questioning leads to understanding, and understanding leads to freedom in a sense. You know why they don't want you to step outside or to be creative or anything? You know why there's so many quote protocols and stuff? Is that they don't want you to step out of bounds. They don't want you to think on your own. They want they want they want you to let them think for you, folks. They want you to let them spoon feed you this stuff. This is mainly why I've been off social media and why I really don't use social media anymore. You folks may have seen that I have a Facebook account, but I rarely do not go there. It's not because of the conspiracies or spyware or anything, but it's just because it's just not worth it. And news is another big thing too as well, folks. The huge thing about the media, folks, is that they're all trying to control you. The government, your religion, you know, and everyone's trying to control everyone now. So they're spoon feeding you everything. They don't want you to think on your own. They don't want you to be independent. They want you to be needy. And the reason why is so that they can benefit themselves. The reason I say this is that there are many deviant ways of politicians and news articles and stuff. It's almost impossible to really get a truth out about something, right, folks? It's nearly impossible because what they do here, I feel, is that they do say the truth or they do give the facts, but they sprinkle them in with fluff, and whatever that fluff is can be whoever the storyteller's desire is. You know, this is how I feel when they leave little hints and stuff. So, for an example, there was a quote robbery at an ice cream store, right? And there's two leading politicians that could quote lead to it, you know, and they either will say it was because of the Trump supporters or Biden supporters that did this. So they do it in that way to where they give you the story, but they sprinkle in a bit of truth with that, but they fill it up so much with fluff and everything. This is to make you disoriented. It leaves you confused. It leaves you questioning what's really real from what's false and not true. They're doing everything in their damnest power, folks, to control you. I'm not saying this as a conservative. I'm not saying this as a liberal. I'm just saying this as a human being because I truly believe that this is fact. Now, again, I could just be ripping out my ass and this could all be completely true and pure baloney. But I do stand that this is important and everything. So, getting back on the train here, folks, with politics and everything. The reason it's such a game to me and why it's such a joke and everything is that our government now is in desperate need for us to trust them. You know what the first step is in a dystopia, folks? How you get Cyberpunk 2077, Blade Runner 2049 or whatever, New Brave New World 1984. You folks don't know how all of that happens? A dystopian world where the government or corporations or whatever take control of a whole society and everything. How they're like too powerful. How we have a military police system in place. How everyone must keep check of everything. I mean, they're already tracking us, folks. That's no secret. The government knows, you know, a lot of the, some of the dirty stuff that, of course, I don't say or show or anything, But they have, I bet you they have all my fingerprints on that phone in this computer. They already have my full description and everything, folks. They probably do with you too. The whole system in place, or at least what the movement is, I feel, is to push towards an ideology of a one whole mega government. And to do that, they need to tear down the old walls to build in a new one. And how they do that is that they start pointing fingers at each other of who's right and who's wrong. And it does not matter what proof you give, it does not matter how much evidence you show, they would dismiss it and brush it aside for the simple sake of, excuse me, for the simple sake of gaining brownie points because they must have brownie points. The people must listen to them. The people must obey. Folks, we've seen this before, and it's already happening again. What really worries me about this election, whether or not Trump or Kamala wins, it's not a matter of who wins and who loses. It's a matter of even more divide than there already is. I've already said it before, folks. There's divide everywhere. And it's not just outside of politics and inside politics, but it's becoming normalized, freakishly enough. It's becoming a standard of being suspicious of folks, being unsure of folks and everything. And that's a very damn scary thing to me, folks, because I don't want to hold a grudge in my heart. I don't want to hold a grudge on anyone. But now I can't help but have that suspicious factor now. If someone tells me something, do I really believe them? Or is it just something that they're pulling out of just to make me believe it? Even with the proof, is it the actual proof of the story? Or is it just to boost one's ego and to get me to side with them even more, tricking me even deeper into thinking that that's the proof, when in reality they were just tricking me the whole time? Or is that the actual logical proof and I'm just being too suspicious? It's a very confusing world here, folks, and I know there's a lot of hardship times. War is gonna come, folks. If not this year, definitely the next one. Clock is. I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything here, by the way, but Armageddon is coming here, folks. Shit's getting real fast, and I am not prepared for it whatsoever. I do not look forward to it. And you may say, oh, well, quote, God won't let that happen, or this or that, or whatever. But honestly, I'd say that if there is a God, He is going to let it happen. If there is something, it is going to happen. Because at the end of the day, if us humans have free will, then we have free will. Even if we tear down the very castle that we built upon centuries and set up the rules and everything, I'm not trying to say America's going to fall completely or anything, but at some point, sooner than later, I feel, there's definitely going to be a huge shift. And it pains for me to see that with the stuff that's going on now and how much we're not really paying attention to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, yeah, there's organizations and, sides of people that do help out with, the poor or the food or to make money a bit easier, you know, jobs and stuff. That's all good and everything. But I think most of us, if not all of us, are really missing the huge picture that we all really need to see. It's like we're all too distracted by the shiny keys. We're too distracted by this. It's like, oh no, something happened on the news today. Looky here. Oh no, someone got shot. Looky here. It's all just small stuff that they make it big and dramatic on purpose so that you can look in and be too focused in order for you to really pay attention to what they're really doing behind our backs. before of what they're really doing behind the curtain here, folks. Because I firmly believe that these people in power, these hidden folks in the inner government or whatever, I feel like they really know what they're doing. And everyone else is just playing along with the system and everything. Because that's how you get rid of the old government, is you rip it apart. And how you do that is that you divide it. This is what's happening now with everywhere. In reality, we're all one and the same regardless of what religion you're in, if you're even in a religion, regardless if you're trans or not, or LGBT. It does not matter either way. It doesn't matter whose side you're on the political landscape, because at the end of the day, each of us, it's like each of us have a different color. We all have a unique color. And even if we all have a similar color, no color is going to be the same from the other. It's like if I was a red, right? There are many other reds out there, right, folks? You got a lighter red from the dark red. But in reality, yeah, we may be similar, we all may be red, but we all have a different red. There's like no specific red that speaks to everyone else but ourselves and only speaks to us, or green or whatever. And the and this whole divide is to make it seem like you can only trust the greens, you can only trust the purple, the blues, the orange, the browns, the yellow. They're doing this specifically so that we can be vulnerable. When in reality, it truly does not matter what color it is, does it, folks? We don't deviate from a brown or a red or a blue or whatever, right? We don't say that's not a color because it is too a color. So I'm asking is, why can't we do the same for us here as human or humanoid beings? Black, white, Hispanic, Mexican, African, Chinese, Russian. Why can't we all do the same for us here? Trans, non trans? Because at the end of the day, we all share one planet, folks. One. We all may be in a different country. We all may be in a different ecosystem or whatever. Some of us are in the desert. Some of us are in the rainforest, the snowy mountains. I don't know, freaking the moon or some shit. I don't know. But my point is that we all share the same house. This whole planet and everything that we've built for millennia across mankind, this whole thing here is just one mega house, folks. It has 1 billion rooms with 1 billion different purposes, 1 million different kitchens, 1 million different basements, attics, freaking bedrooms, living rooms, right? We all share the same house. And I feel like we all just need to accept one another. We don't need to agree on anything. Hell, you don't need to agree on anything I say in this video. I may not agree on the comment that you may make, and you may not agree with me on this video that I'm making here, folks. But I at least gotta try. And at the end of the day, it's just my view and my take on it and everything. And I don't care if it's cringe. I don't care if it's, you know, cringy or cliched or whatever. The point stands, and it will stand tonight, and it will stand forever within me, that love is love. Because it really is. You know, love is love. Simply smiling, helping someone out, that's love in a sense. Loving an actual partner and stuff, and I don't know, smashing them or something, the birds and the bees, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's love. Simply being friendly, it may not be love, but it's overall kindness, generosity, being caring and everything. And the system in place and all of us being connected are just dividing us even more so. They're doing this on purpose so that you can't think. They don't want you to think. They want you to trust what the news people are saying. If the news people say that this is bad, stay away from this organization, you're more likely to agree with them because it seems justified by your views because they agree similarly to your views. This is why network like CNN, a liberal network or conservative network, why they gain more audience from that specific side because it makes them feel more more at home with them because they agree on the same ideology and views. But in reality, folks, they're just weaponizing you on that. They're turning you on that. I could frickin' say right now on the craziest stuff that I wanted to, right? And I bet you someone out there in this very planet would just agree with me on that. I could say the most batshit insane freaking hoopla ever imaginable. The biggest baloney of balonies, right? The most insane, stupidly ridiculous thing that no one else would agree on. I can bet you there'll be at least 1 to 2 in this entire planet of 8.5 billion that somewhere out there, somewhere, would agree with me on. As crazy as that sounds. And it's overall something that I feel that at the end of the day, I feel like at the end of the day, folks, we need to trust in ourselves and trust on each other. Be more open minded. You know, look at something that you don't normally look at. Try to understand other folks that aren't like you. Because at the end of the day, folks, we're ripping ourselves apart bit by bit. And this election that's going to come up next month is a prime example of just how far we've fallen, not just in society but in humanity. You know, it's true. It still baffles me how easy everyone gets triggered. Everyone's so mad. Everyone wears their emotions proudly on display like it's a shirt or something. I'm angry. I'm pissed. With this shirt here, yeah, it says local on it, but with this shirt here, I'd still try to choose to, well, love. Because I don't like to take pity from from everyone. I don't like to hold grudges. I don't like to cling on to the past or to point fingers or whatever. The first step to being held accountable is not only to admit that you're wrong, but also to point out on why. More, it's to say sorry is more than just to say I'm sorry. I know I messed up. It's to say I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have done that. I was really angry. I wasn't thinking straight. I I just let my emotions get to me. That's how you apologize. That's how you held yourself accountable for your actions. It's not just about acknowledgement. It's about reason and explaining that reason. That's how you acknowledge yourself, folks. Not just with everyone's flaws and your flaws, but also being open enough to let others in. That's how we truly get world peace, folks. That's how we can truly serve better, not just not just for a better tomorrow, but for a better next year, a better next decade or whatever. For our children and our children's children and for folks of the future. It's coming together as one. We all don't need to agree on anything, like I said. We don't need to agree on this. We all don't need to agree on that. But whether you like it or not, you can't change that. You can't change what I agree and disagree the very same I can't change what you agree and disagree. But we all have to accept each other, one way or another. Whether we like it or not, we just have to deal with it. And to make a better today for a better tomorrow starts with being open. And to be honest, it's many doors open. Being able to have open doors for us to walk in and see their own expression or their view, and given an understanding of their side, and in return we understand each other now. We've been to our rooms before. We know what you're like and we know what I'm like. Because right now, folks, all I see is just closed doors. Every door I turn now, it's closed. But with all of that said and out of the way, folks, that's pretty much all I have to really say. At the end of the day, folks, peace and love. Okay? Truly peace and love. I'm not the best explainer. I'm not the best talker. I'm not the best at this or that. I do not care. I don't care if I sound retarded. I don't care about this or that. I don't even care if this video doesn't explode or blow up or whatever. But I am going to express my feelings. And I am going to express my thoughts and everything. Even if they're batshit crazy. Even if everyone laughs at me or whatever. I don't care. This is a way of expression. And with upcoming next month and everything, I don't see it looking good. Politics is crazy shit, and we either need to redo the whole system and really change it to where we can all come together and all accept each other even if we don't agree, as one and everything, instead of a system that just divides us even more than it already has, and making us divide even amongst ourselves because we're in a religion, because we're trans, LGBT, or whatever. It does not matter one way or another, folks. We are all human. We all share the same blood. We all bleed the same. So with all of that said, folks, I leave this video here with you, folks, because I want this to be burned in, and I want you folks to really think on what I'm telling you, folks. Even if it's rambling or I'm going off or whatever, I want you folks to really take in this video here, because like I said, I got my wisdom teeth that I'm gonna have taken care of this coming Tuesday. And I'm probably going to be gone for the next few days. And I didn't want to wait any later than to make of this video. And I didn't want to wait until November to make this. Because this stands. And whether or not you agree with me is fine. But I'm still going to make my message. I'm still going to express my feelings. I'm still going to show my point. So, with all that being said and all of the way, folks, thank you all so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe for more. And I'll see you all sooner or later. Bye-bye, everyone.